Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do One Piece Chapter 717 review. Now, this week's Chapter One Piece. Well, first of all, let me say two things off the gate. First thing is that the color spread at the beginning actually looks very nice. I like it a lot. It looks very nice. The second thing is that next week there will be no weekly Shonen Jump chapters at all. Because next week is Golden Week, so there won't be a chapter of One Piece until 2 weeks from today. So that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. It's a holiday, and you know we just got to sit down and wait. Be patient. All right, be patient. That's the way it is. That's life. So that being said, this week's chapter One Piece, chapter 717. Basically, the chapter, what it does, what it comprises of, is that it comprises of a little bit of the continuation of the fight between Don Chinjao and Luffy. It comprises, and then from there we diverge. We go over to Sanji and Kinemon, who are outside the Coliseum. And then we go from there to Frankie and the Toy Soldier, who are right now going to the flower fields. Then we go and see a little snippet of the fight between Flamingo, Fujitora, and Law. Or in this case, it's Law versus those two. We get a little piece of that. And then the chapter ends off when we are at the Tontata village in the green bit, and they're with Uso Land and Robin Land, and right now they're making preparations to evade, to go to the Dark Factory and save 500 of their people. So that's the chapter right there in an overall nutshell. But let me get this out of the way, because this, to me, there were two things about the chapter that I wasn't pleased about. Number one was the fact that Oda teased us. He teased us with the Fujitora and Flamingo versus Law fight, where we see like a shockwave going through, like across the island, and then after that shockwave, we see Law just dive. Like he's diving. Like fuck, we out. So that to me, I was like, what the hell? Like, what's happening? Like, are you gonna tease us? Really? Like you're teasing us? Like, it was only one page. So that kind of irked me because, like, at some point, Oda should go. Like, I don't want to see the fight. Like, I don't want it to be where we see the end result of that fight and then Oda doesn't go back. It's like, no, I want to see, like, at least go back and show us what happened. God damn it. So, and again, like, he did that with Sanji, but because he showed us that little teaser, now I'm starting to think maybe he may not do that. And that would be very disappointing. That would be unbelievably disappointing. So, because it's Fujitora. He's an admiral. It's Don Quixote do Flamingo, a Shichibukai. Technically, two Shichibukai. I mean, one just got his status revoked, but still, nonetheless. So, it's very unfortunate, but like the way it is now, I'm starting to think so Oda may not show us that fight. And because of that little snippet. But I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see. And the second thing that griped me about the chapter was obvious. Chinjao and Luffy got, for the time being, sidelined. And I'm not pleased about that at all. Because I'm digging Chinjao heavy. Like, I'm digging Chinjao. I mean, granted, the chapter, he started to cry for like a panel and a half. It threw me off, like, why are you crying? Like, what did Garp do to you? And then he mentions Rayleigh, and then he's like, even more bad memories. It's like, so what did these two guys do to you? And he starts to cry, and apparently we have Sai. Again, Sai's not knocked out. And Sai's just sitting there, and like, apparently the plan was, Bo, Sai, and Chinjao, they were going to let Sai go on to the next round. I guess for some training purposes, or to establish the Happo Navy and their country Kanokuni, I'm not too sure. Because Chinjao, he is retired. But the main point here is that he was the one who was supposed to go on to the next round. However, he saw Luffy, and then the memories of Garp, and then the memories of Rayleigh, tunnel vision. No, fuck that. So, apparently, and according to Sai, he still has, because even though Bo, he slacked off on his training, as did Sai, because Sai says it too. So, just Bo slacked off more. So, in comparison to Chinjao, they still have a ways to go in their training. But the main point of my disappointment is the fact that obviously Oda, he sidelined that fight for the time being. So those are my two main gripes with the chapter right there. Those are my two main gripes. Aside from that, so let me go stage by stage. Let me start stage one again, all right? The Chinjao Luffy fight in the more positive scheme about what I did like. In this stage one, Chinjao mentions to Luffy that because he knows that after he does his laugh, and his laugh is actually, I like his laugh because I can imagine that laugh in like an old Chinese voice. It's hiya ho ho ho, like your Santa Claus. Hiya ho ho ho. That's exactly the way I see it going down. Exactly the way I see it going down. I think it's funny. But he mentions to Luffy that, of course, he knows that he can use haki. And so what happens is that you can use the Conqueror's haki. So what do you want to be a king of? And he responds, the king of pirates. And then Chinjao responds, it's like that's folly. And then he says, and I quote right here, I say the panel. He says, right here, the seas that lie ahead of you are littered with countless souls who possess the king's will. Now, that's very important because haki was a rarity in the Grand Line. Note how the system works. The system works where in the East Blue, devil fruits were considered to be like legends and myths, and then we go to the Grand Line, and they're very common, but haki's very rare. In the case of the New World, it appears that haki is very common, and in this case, he says there are countless of people who could use the Conqueror's haki. And the Conqueror's haki, Luffy's Conqueror's haki, throughout the course of his journey, will compete against other people's Conqueror's haki. And the one who has the greatest haki will be, according to Chinjao, will be the Pirate King. And of course, it's more complex than that because there's whole entire Raftel thing and the One Piece, what it truly is, and the D, so it's way more complex. But from Chinjao's perspective, there's going to be so many people that have the Conqueror's haki, and you're going to butt heads with these people. So, and of course, in the chapters beforehand, Chinjao called Luffy a greenhorn. So even in terms of haki, and even though the Conqueror's haki cannot be directly trained, he still has a ways to go. Now, according to Oda, in the recent SBS, Oda stated that when it comes to haki, it's Luffy with color of Conqueror haki, it's Sanji with color of Observation haki, and Zoro color of Armament haki. So I don't know how specifically Luffy's color of Conqueror haki will, gain. Like, he may be able to do new things with that. I'm not too sure exactly because Oda, again, he has yet to fully dive into haki. Because when it came to the Grand Line, we first got the devil fruits, and then he dived further into that spectrum of devil fruits. And I believe that we actually don't find out about the types of devil fruits up until the Grand Line. So when it comes to the Grand Line itself, he went very deep into that when it came to devil fruits. So he should go even further deeper into haki once we're in the New World. But since we've only reached technically the first island in the Grand Line, the first legit island. There was Fishman Island, and Fishman Island was not even in the New World. Then there was, of course, Punk Hazard, and that island was not even registered as an island in the New World. And so technically, we're on the first island in the Grand Line and in the New World. So there should be a lot deeper. Oda should go a lot deeper when it comes to the haki in this in the New World in general. And I'm talking about like what Shanks can do, because Shanks haki up, ship starts to break down. Oh, I'm sorry, shit leaked out. My bad. The fuck. So obviously we need to have a lot greater understanding of haki, and it'll take some time, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. And remember, according to Oda, I'll do a video about it later, about Zoro Armament haki, Luffy Conqueror's haki, and Sanji Observation haki. So that's number one right there. Number two, very simple. Sanji, Kinemon, they're on the lookout. They're trying to contact Luffy and tell him what's going on with Law. and with mainly law, with mainly law. And there's a problem here. Because Flamingo, he's not a Shichibukai anymore. I mean, well, the whole thing about him not being a Shichibukai was a facade, and he actually is still a Shichibukai. Also, big problem, Fujitora. Big problem. I mean, Sanji doesn't know that, but still. Big problem, Fujitora. Fucking meteors, tractor beam, yeah! So, fuck, he's Oda. Alright, okay. Well, the point here is that there are Marines outside the Coliseum. And they're waiting for the losers to come out so they can capture them. Makes perfect sense. And there's one guy, Shark Slayer Bastelli, I'm not too sure if that's his name or not, I forget. But basically, he's noticing how there are no guys coming out. Why is that? He's noticing how Block A and Block B already ended. There should be a shit ton of losers, but they're not coming out. Where are they? So maybe there's a secret passage somewhere that the Coliseum has set up where these pirates can escape without being caught by the Marines, which makes perfect goddamn sense. Very well done. Which is why these pirates and these bounty hunters can come into the Coliseum and fight and not worry about being captured later on. So that's number 2 right there. Very simple. And also, Kinemon wants to go to the toy house and, of course, save his friend Kanjiro. But so here's my problem about the whole entire thing right now. At first, I thought that they were all going to the same location, but now I'm starting to realize, wait a second. Kinemon says toy house. The Tontata people say the Dark Factory. But we see Frankie going to the Flower Fields, and he's actually at this place called the Flower Hill. So, or like he's near there. So I'm thinking, are they like different spots? Like, because apparently according to the Tontata, the Dark Factory is underneath the Coliseum. The fuck. So I don't know what's going on. Because maybe the Flower Hill is the entrance to the Dark Factory, which is underneath the Coliseum. So like they're backtracking once they enter the flower. I mean, I don't know. It's very confusing. So now, originally I thought that they were all going to the Flower Fields. But now that these guys have said it's underneath the Coliseum, well, now I'm not sure now. I'm just not too sure. But we'll see. I mean, I'll be patient and we'll see. So that's number 2. Now, when it comes to point 3 is basically, it's actually very fascinating. It's actually the most fascinating part about the entire chapter. It's basically, we find out from the toy soldier that there is some kind of memory lapse going on with people here. And how the toys, and I already knew this, well, I guessed that this may be the case, and I'm right. And I called it, where the toys they were once human. And I call that. And there was a Delphi user that a decade ago came. Once Flamingo became the king of the island, a decade ago. He brought in a Delphi user, and this user changed people into toys. But I don't know where the memory lapse comes from. That's something strange. Because, so now we know that all the toys that we see were actually humans. They once humans. And some of these toys actually know that they're humans. That they were humans. Like, for example, like there was a dog. And this dog, he's a pet of... He's a toy pet dog of his son and his wife. So it's like, okay, but he knows that he knows that he was once human. And any toy that knows that they're once human and like they try to confront the humans about this, they have a quote-unquote human disease. And then they get scrapped, whatever that means. Which may mean back to the factory. I don't know. But it's very fascinating because of the fact that, of course, there's a deeper subplot. Just when Oda has all these subplots going in, there's a deeper subplot. So, and the thing here about it is that we don't know why they're doing it. We don't know why Flamingo would make these people into toys. We have no idea. They could have been people who were against his rule, and thus in order to establish power, or to establish absolute power. He did this by turning these people into toys, and also by using some kind of memory. Like, I don't know, but the memory lapse is something that has to be explained more in detail. But they will do it in this arc at some later point in time. But that being said, the person who has this ability is probably a Flamingo family member. That's what I'm assuming off the gate. And we do hear that there are 2 rules established. The first rule is that no one can go outside at night. Like there is a curfew at 12 p.m. and you cannot go outside after 12 p.m. That's number 1. Number 2 is that apparently toys cannot go into human households and vice versa. What's happening? So here's my initial thoughts. My initial thought is that the Dofus user is going about in the middle of the night, and he or she is reinforcing the toy attributes. So, for example, when a toy sleeps at night, this person at night may sneak in to their house by some method, and then he or she may use their powers to retain the toy features of this human being. So, but again, we don't know why Flamingo would do this. Is it for absolute control of the kingdom? Is there more of a specific reason? We don't know. But the initial assumption was because of the fact that we saw the dwarves. They were, of course, the other race that Oda introduced. So the toys, they can't be their own damn race. It makes no sense. They're toys. So, and now we know. There were humans that were transformed into toys. And now we see Frankie and Toy Soldier, again, they're going over to the flower. They're going over to the flower fields. And right now, they're at this place called the Flower Hill. So, there's a deeper meaning to this, but I find it's so fascinating. It really is. So, that's one thing about One Piece that I like. That even though sometimes Oda will diverge from the action and from all the epic stuff, what's going on aside from that is actually very, very, very fascinating. It's very intriguing. So this one, I like that part, number 3. I really do. I really do. And Frankie may get, some good spotlight. And it's about goddamn time. Oh, it's about time. Radical beams, transformation. I want to see some. If Dirty Frankie comes back, like if he's in the factory and he's finding some dude, he's like, yo, what's that? Fucking sneak attack. Oh, it's over. I would, yes. I need to see Dirty Frankie. I got covered in filth. Yeah, like I was the leader of this gang in War 7. I'm a fucking scumbag. That's the boy I want to see again. So that's number 3 right there, right? Number 4, very, very simple, very simple. It's basically, once again, Law, sneak peek. He's trying to contact Nami, but basically, the fight seems intense. Oda, fuck. All right, that's number 4, and number 5. We don't know what these are. Basically, number 5 is that we see that one dwarf. I forgot his name. Like the leader of the, like he appears to be like the head honcho, or like not the head honcho, but like he's the main dwarf. He's the main dwarf, okay? The one with the stitching powers, with the stitch no me, like whatever it's called. This dwarf, like we're going to the Dark Factory, which again is underneath the Coliseum. And again, the toy house, the flower fields, the Dark Factory. I'm confused, but we'll see later on. But apparently, Flamingo has 500 of the people of the Tontata tribe in this Dark Factory as slaves to work and so on and so forth. And what if it's like some like Willy Wonka shit going down? Like I'm like seriously, man. Like what if these dwarves like Oompas? Like yo, that'd be crazy. Like what if they're Oompas, man? Oompa doompa doompa dee doo. Fuck. It's like that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like it's some hidden like Willy Wonka type of shit going down there. Only instead of candy, it's just all smileys. Just like all smileys. Maybe, I don't know. But apparently, amongst the people that are captured, it's their princess. And according to him, she's a spoiled bitch, pretty much. But it's just that they gotta go save her because she's the princess or the queen. I forgot which one it was. Empress, queen, or princess, whatever. Either way, the fact is that they need to go there, and in comes Uso Land. We have our ace in the hole, Uso Land, and his hockey shaking the ground apparently. Oh, the lies! But still, I mean, I thought that Usopp got beyond that because at Fisherman Island, he's saying, "Yeah, I got beyond that. I don't lie as much, but here he is," and the mouth just won't stop running. But overall, so that's a chapter right there, and I gotta say that the chapter, the rating, I'm probably gonna give it because again, the parts that I didn't like, how the fights were cut off and the fucking law like snippet, it's what the fuck. But aside from that, part 3 is just super goddamn fascinating. It really is. And then part 1 is like, okay, so even though we skipped the fight, or the fight's not like he's sidelined for the time being, still the whole Conqueror's hockey thing. It's like that's a big thing about how there are more of them. There was a lot of hockey users out in the world, in the new world. So, and then part 2 is very simple. Part 4 is very simple. Part 3 is sort of simple, but you know, again, it's mainly like the dwarf thing and how apparently the Dark Factory is underneath the Coliseum. But again, the Flower Fields and the Flower Hill is a different location, and apparently so is the Toy House. I don't know. So, the chapter overall, it's very fascinating. It's very intriguing. Yeah, I'll give it a good chapter rating. Yeah, I thought it was a good. So I'm done. If you know what I mean, be sure, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace. Have a nice day.